There it is on the screen, folks. I mean, Pedri just saying how I think we're all feeling. These 1-0 leads just are going to give me a heart attack this season, right? After that tough Atleti game, we come out, we beat Real Betis in the Supercopa on penalties. Ter Stegen, the hero. But from Pedri himself, right? He says, every time we go 1-0, we don't control the game as we should. It is almost like subconsciously we think the game is over when it isn't. And just more of the same today and more non-convincing results, and we'll see going in this Clásico whether or not the team can really take it up a level, although I think, we're coming off, 2 top 4 wins, right? Atleti at the time, then Betis now, but this Clásico coming up for the Supercopa final will be a big test because it's unfortunately becoming a recurring theme that when we go up 1-0, we have these good 25 to 30 minutes to start a game. We get a goal, and then it seems like all of our players and Xavi with his substitutions just kind of, put an end to all of our rhythm, and then we kind of get into a shell and we let the other team take the ball to us. When we get a lead, it feels like we're not trying to get a second goal. We're just trying to win on a 1-0 lead, right? It reminds me a lot of some of the Ernie Valverde days, although, we had a lot more success back then. I mean, the crazy thing is we have allowed as many goals against Intercity and Real Betis today in the Supercopa, almost the same amount that we've allowed in 16 La Liga games, right? 6 games in the league, 5 against Intercity and Betis. But I think in this game, right, you got to call out Ter Stegen, just having a wonderful season. I'm not going bald yet, but I'm thinking about getting hair plugs just to see if I get that type of swag and confidence Ter Stegen has back this year. But I think Xavi's substitutions must be questioned, right? We go out there, Dembele looking like he's on fire. In that first half, the Pedri, Frankie, Gavi midfield was doing some wonders offensively, although, to give Xavi some credit here, defensively there were some holes, especially as we got into the 35th to 45th minute. But we take out Frankie, we put in Busquets, we take out Dembele, we put in Ferran Torres, and it just seems like the game kind of lost itself, right? I spoke a lot last week about how after the Atleti game, we don't have any order, and there's no attempt to impose our will on the game when we get a lead. It's purely about retaining it and kind of turtling it. Here's a great article I just read today that kind of talked about the same point, which is that, especially with Busquets coming on for Frenkie de Jong, you kind of have this, and I'm sure, and Xavi does too as well, right? This view of Busi as kind of this central defensive midfielder who can control the ball, prevent a lot of risky plays, and then if we do give it up, perhaps, stop them from hitting our last line or taking advantage of, Sergio Roberto or Jordi Alba, who are on the right and left back side, or eventually, right, another questionable substitution, Marcos Alonso. But I'm kind of losing my patience. I'm at my wit's end a little bit, right? It feels like every time this team gets a lead, we're just so close to dropping back and to letting it up, right? And you look at the lineup in today's game, it's interesting. There was a lot of talk, right? We saw the Purists put out a great video, Jalil, about kind of the 3-2-2-3 we had against Atleti with the 4-man midfield of Frankie, Busi, Pedri, and Gavi. We had that stellar back line of Balde, of Koundé, of Araujo and Christensen, and then you come into this game, we get a little bit of a shakeup, right? You see Sergio Roberto coming back as the right back, Jordi Alba comes in instead of Balde, and then you had Araujo and Koundé, which is a center back pairing we've all been waiting for to come out and to play together, and I think this is the first time we've seen Araujo and Koundé play together, and they're just massive, right? Even in moments when, one of them falls, the other one was always there to kind of put up pressure and try and stop the offense of Betis from scoring. And, then at that last wall, you have Ter Stegen, the great, right? I think it's time for all of those memers, Ter statue, and all the negative stuff we heard for the last few seasons to reassess and understand, how wonderful Ter Stegen has been. It was also kind of a nice ode to the treble season, right? You have Ter Stegen versus Claudio Bravo in net for Betis. So that was good to see. And today there was some interesting developments that I think we have to be somewhat happy about, right? We've talked a little bit about how in the first half of the season, for the first, 2 to 3 months, right, we were really stuck in this conundrum of trying to shoehorn in Rafinha and Dembele on the field, Dembele or Rafinha on the left and right, and some interchanging that we saw in the preseason. And I think overall the main thing a lot of us thought is that Dembele is a better right winger than Rafinha. and Dembele's a better left winger than Rafinha. And so, at times when Rafinha hasn't had the end product, the assists, and definitely not the goals we wanted to see, we've wanted to see Dembele play in his best spot because we thought that gave us the best results, right? And today you see Dembele out on the left, just cooking, right? Just that Dembouz with how mercurial he is, just all of the positives. So it was really nice to see. And like I said, right, the Pedri, Gavi, Frankie midfield was what, when we came back from the World Cup, I expected to see more often. After the Clasico, after the Inter Milan and Bayern Munich games in the Champions League, it did really feel in that awkward kind of dead period of time between those big games and the World Cup that, Xavi had decided, okay, I'm going to let Frankie de Jong as the pivot. I understand now that Busquets isn't a man I can call on in every game. He can't be that first check on the lineup each day in, day out. And then when we came back from international break, we've seen a good amount of Busquets, right? I think he played 120 minutes against Intercity. He played quite a long time against Atletico last weekend, and the product is not there, right? We've been saying it for years, especially in high-profile European games. He's just not quick enough to compete and to be our out-and-out starter every week. And again today we put him on for Frankie de Jong, and like I said, Frankie didn't have the best game. There were a few just simple passes I felt like Frankie misplaced. And when Busi came on, the game kind of turned, right? Because not only was Busquets on, we also had Dembele go to the bench, and you kind of took away that threat of a one-on-one up front that Dembele was just showing over and over, right? Getting that assist to Lewandowski, creating another attempt even earlier in the game, like the 15th minute for Lewandowski that, fortunately Lewa couldn't put in the net. So, you make those big subs, and it must be said, right? And I hate to beat a dead horse, and I'm not a big fan of all the negativity Ferran Torres gets, but he's playing some not good ball, unfortunately, right? He just, he's offside on that attempt that Lewandowski put in that, could have won the game in the 80th minute. He's not making any runs into space, and it doesn't seem like anyone on the left side, Jordi Alba or Marcos Alonso or even Pedri, is connecting with him well. Like, we used to see definitely last season when we were winning so much in like February. And so Ferran Torres, just again, not that threat that Dembele offered Busi in, and you saw Betis take it to us, right? You see them overall really perform and come back, and this is a Betis team, as they have been for the last few years, who's very, very good in La Liga, right? They're a top 4 team, and so it's hard to be so pessimistic when we're going into a Clasico final in just a few days here, but I think we all kind of left a lot to be desired there, and I think a lot has to be said about Xavi and his choice of subs, because that put us in a position where I don't think we were made to succeed, right? It goes back to just that theme I keep talking about. When we go up, we don't try to go up even more, right? We don't take the recipe that got us that 1-0 or 2-1 lead, and we don't try to press it more to get more goals. I feel like we get afraid that we're going to get hit on the counter. And, with how well Araujo and Koundé are playing, with how well Balde has been playing, although, again, his absence today was quite a conundrum. Why Marcos Alonso is getting put into that left-back spot instead of Balde, I have no clue. Why Marcos Alonso is on the list of players we might renew really doesn't make any sense to me, and it's upsetting. But like I said, with a defense that has full health now, Araujo, Koundé, Balde, it does feel like we should not be so afraid of getting hit on the counter as we might have been against, Bayern, like that first game in Munich where they kind of tore us apart on the counter. And, I just feel like we really need to reassess what we do when we go up, right? And the fact that Pedri himself, as I led in with this video, is coming out and saying that the team even feels it, that they even feel that they're having this issue, is something we're going to really want to look to see Xavi solve and figure out and try to instill in the players this idea that, we're not a team that's set up to just kind of sit back, weather the storm. We can only do that so much. If it wasn't for Ter Stegen being on his AA game, we would have lost this game. And as much as it's just the Supercopa, it's in front of these fans in Saudi Arabia who don't seem very excited, and it's not the most meaningful trophy. I do think it would mean a lot for the club and for the team and for Xavi to get that first title under the belt. And so that's what I'm looking for in the Clasico. Can we kind of redeem ourselves from the game in Madrid, where obviously it didn't go how any of us wanted? And I think a big part of that, right, the cool thing here is Lewandowski can play because this isn't in La Liga where he's suspended. But not only Lewandowski got a goal today, which is good, but also Ansu Fati with just a wonderful goal in extra time. I think we all thought it was going to be the winner. Had flashbacks to Messi scoring in like the 112th minute in the World Cup where you thought that was going to be the winner too. Betis had other ideas. They came back. Marcus Alonso got kind of cooked by Henrique, and it went to penalties. And there again, Ter Stegen, 2 big saves. You have Lewandowski going. You have Kessié with a little slow run-up, scoring the penalty. So it's a bittersweet moment, right? Because we all want to see this team continue to take steps, and it feels like there's just some recurring patterns here that we need to solve. But let me know in the comments what you all think, how you all felt about this game, and whether or not you think we're going to win in the Clásico on Sunday. Thank you all.